40% of Nintendo players have experienced drift, and the other 60% are just waiting their turn. Recently, I have experienced some drift in my own controllers, but this was the PS5 controller. I would have thought that a controller like this would not experience something like drift. It's an advanced controller. That's basically what they were selling us on. They upped the price by $10. I thought that maybe, with all of those things in mind, I wouldn't have to deal with drift. But the Phantom Man is beginning to adjust my camera again. And this isn't the first time this has happened. I've been gaming basically my whole life, and I've had to experience drift starting from the Xbox One and up from that. The Xbox One, 4 controllers. 4 succumb to the drift. Nintendo, I'm just waiting for my Switch controllers to drift. And my PS5 controllers are starting to drift now. Yeah, this has been something that's been pissing me off for a little bit, and I thought I'd do a video on it. So welcome to the Bread Show, and we're going to be looking into the Phantom Ghost that's putting input into all of our controllers. If you don't know what drift is basically when you have a controller and after a while, the left analog stick usually begins to move on its own. Sometimes it moves to the left and you get a camera input, or maybe you typing on the keyboard and the keyboard always wants to go left for some reason. That's what drift is. And it's been an actual problem for game companies everywhere. Game companies have been actually getting sued over this, and not just by adults, by children. There was this one mom, her name was Luz Sanchez. I apologize if I said that wrong, but she had bought a Switch, and within a month, she experienced drift in some of her controllers. She sued Nintendo and claimed that Nintendo wasn't doing enough to solve the issue and wanted a $5 million settlement. This hasn't been the first time a child has been a plaintiff in one of these cases, and Nintendo's kind of come up with some formula to deal with them all. They have this EULA agreement, end user license agreement. So yeah, they go for the out of court settlement and define some end user goal and whatever. They just go for the out of court settlements with a lot of these cases. Now, naturally, one would think that a complex controller will require complex maintenance, which is kind of true. The way drift usually starts and the way it usually happens is wear and tear to the left analog stick, dust getting into the controller, and rage moments. So I decided to do some research on how the controllers even work, and apparently there's a circuit in the controller that only closes when you move the analog stick in that direction. So if dust gets into that part where the analog stick is supposed to go, then you're gonna get some drift in your controller, and it's inevitable. As a matter of fact, Nintendo engineers even said that it's inevitable. They compared drift to controllers like tires on a car. Eventually, you're going to need new tires on that car because you've been using it so much rigorously. And that's kind of the same logic that they're applying to their Nintendo Joy-Con controllers. As a matter of fact, they're not even tackling the idea of stopping drift. They're really more so tackling the idea of improving the durability on their controllers. And drift highly affects the end user of the game. These game companies put millions of dollars into their games, get highly trained, paid actors, they get overworked in their studios to make these big games. And eventually, some games down the line end up getting messed up by drift, and the users end up resenting their game because of that. And it doesn't help that most games today are very analog stick heavy. Red Dead Redemption 2, FIFA, Call of Duty. Imagine playing against Millennia and your camera keeps moving to the left oh so slightly. Imagine aiming down your sights in Call of Duty and you keep aiming to the left oh so slightly. A lot of games today require extreme precision, especially games on the Nintendo where this problem mostly happens, like Metroid Dread and all those other games. So we can see how drift can be a big problem in the gaming community. My advice to you, keep it clean or buy a controller set offline. They come with extra buttons and cleaning supplies and everything of the like. You could try button mapping. Button mapping are settings inside of a game or the PlayStation itself or the Xbox itself or the Nintendo Switch itself, whatever, that you can use to deadlock the analog stick. You could just make the analog stick do nothing and apply that function to a whole nother object. Not throwing it against the wall also helps. And then finally, the last option is to send it in. I know Nintendo and Microsoft and probably PlayStation, they let you fix controllers for free. If you just send it to them, they'll fix it and return it to you within I don't know how long, but they do return it to you for free. Me personally, I hate drift. I buy a controller or buy a new system and count the number of days I have before it's all over. And that could be a glass half empty thing, but when I told you that 40% number before of the Nintendo thing, I thought that number was really low. And I really do believe that rest of the 60%, their days are numbered. They're almost up, they're almost through. But at the end of the day, it's gonna happen. I understand it. It is like wear and tear in a car. Every once in a while, you're gonna need new tires, you're gonna need new brakes. So what do you guys think about the Nintendo, or just any drift in any controllers? Do you experience drift? Or maybe you are like the 1% and don't experience drift and have found a way to not experience drift. If you found a way to skirt the drift, then please let me know in the comments below. Please let me know if there's a way that I can stop this from happening. But yeah, that's everything. Give inspiration, like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot, and peace out.
Welcome to the Craig Show. Take 2.